What's up, people? I'm Lindsay Geektron, and this is LolKing's League Trends for the week of May 5th, 2015. This week, our featured champions include Ryze, Maokai, Khazix, Ergot, Hecarim, and Vi. I know Ergot, right? Like, the second time he's been on our show. The 6 Ergot players out there are like, yeah! Let's dive into Summoner's Rift. Modest pick rate increases are the order of the day as Ryze squeaks into the top with 2% and is followed by Ashe, Lucian, Kha'Zix, and Nautilus. Peanut Head has a shiny new model these days, and more importantly, a new kit. The two biggest changes are to his primary ability Overload and his passive. Overload is now a skill shot. The range is 250 units or so higher, but for the most part this hurts Ryze's laning, especially against melee champions. It's still single target, so it stops at the first target hit. Ryze players need to start positioning themselves differently if they want to damage their lane opponent in the early game. As for Ryze's passive, it still reduces the cooldown of his other abilities on spell hit, but only after having been in combat for some time. Once players use 5 spells to trigger the new stacking mechanic, they get some of the old cooldown cutting, along with a shield that scales with maximum mana. There are other changes, but the net effect is that Ryze now has even more crazy late game potential, but at the cost of mediocre laning and a higher skill floor. You'll be seeing players working on him, but I wouldn't expect many of them to stick to the champion. No big numbers over at pick rate decreases either. Jinx, Gragas, Ezreal, Maokai, and Lissandra top the list, but not by anything major. Maokai is having his wish of return me to the forest granted. Just don't take that literally and tell teammates you're playing him as a tree, cause it won't end well. Trolling methods aside, Maokai is a solid top lane pick that's getting just a wee bit overshadowed by all the fancy TP smite top laners running around, as many players feel they offer more carry potential. Maokai isn't much of a 1v1 threat to these champions for the most part, but he is excellent for setting up ganks and winning 2v2 skirmishes, so you'll see Maokai getting played against these champions in professional play. Maokai is also a very reliable team fighter, which can't always be said for some of his competition. Champions playing without flash are always going to be risky when it comes to positioning, and his other competitors like Gnar can be hit or miss when it comes to going in. Maokai can't miss his Twisted Advance gap closer, which means that his only real counter is counter engage from champions like Janna or Morgana. Overall, Maokai hasn't changed much, which means that while he's not the most exciting champion to play, don't expect him to bow out of professional play anytime soon. Your own games, all bets are off. Win rate increases start with Ashe rather curiously breaking 50% ahead of her upcoming rework. Those behind her are Kha'Zix, Dr. Mundo, Zilean, and Poppy. Here we see Riot on the drawing board with Kha'Zix again. The Void Weaver was in a constant state of flux for all of Season 4. Buff, nerf, yada yada, along with just a pinch of identity crisis when it comes to his unique evolution mechanic. At various points, he's been an annoying Void Spike spammer, a pure assassin, or more of a bruiser. So what do we do with today's Kha'Zix? The healing from Void Spike has been increased at lower ranks, which will make his jungle clear less painful. It's probably best to get at least 3 points in the ability to keep your health up early game, but other players max taste their fear immediately for more damage on ganks. Most agree that your first 2 evolutions at level 6 and 11 should be Enlarged Claws and Wings, but again, players have different opinions as to which one first. Wings are usually better for ganking, but if you invade and duel the enemy jungler, Enlarged Claws can be deadly. Do note that it only deals more damage on isolated targets, and against said isolated targets, it will deal the same damage regardless of ability rank. The buff helps you, but you probably won't see much Kha'Zix in the League of Cinderhulk. Win rate decreases once again shove Elise into the mud where she's scrapping it out with Ryze on a special episode of The Biggest Loser. I expect Elise to win next week. The rest are Trundle, Rumble, Ergot, and Sion. He was once nothing more than a dead horse to beat at the bottom of the win rate column. No longer. Sizable buffs not long ago have transformed Ergot from joke to very serious threat in professional play, but strangely enough, his win rate is still kind of low. Why so? The guesses we'll make are that he's being played in the mid lane too often, and that his low range while sieging is a liability to uncoordinated teams. On the first point, Ergot can be a strong 1v1 laner, but lacks wave clear. Once enemy mid laners have a couple of levels, they can often shove the wave and roam to avoid interacting with the headsman's pride. It's not a crippling flaw, but it's hard to pressure the map as Ergot mid, and you might accidentally pick a team with no wave clear. The second part of this is that Ergot's low range makes taking turrets hard. If you can get a pick and create a 4v5 situation, this obviously doesn't matter, but it is solo queue. Teams will group as 5 in the mid lane even if their champions are clearly not suited for sieging. Professional players, on the other hand, can plan their games out and avoid dealing with this weakness of Ergot when compared to a more conventional ADC. It's doubtful that Ergot will ever be a popular pick in solo queue, but expect to see him at the upcoming mid-season invitational. Titanic ban rates are here for Gragas, LeBlanc, and Hecarim, while Kalista and Vladimir settle for less lofty positions on the ban rate increases. This pony is everywhere in pro games and in solo games. Well, when he's not banned out with that hefty rate of 73%. Hecarim was already a big presence with Teleport Ignite, but players are now realizing that they can trade that Ignite for Smite and run Cinderhulk. It's a trade-off: weaker mid-game, stronger late-game. A Hecarim with Ignite and Trinity Force is a terror to behold before 20 minutes. At that point, Hecarim murders carries, but as the game progresses, those champions will eventually be strong enough to fight off a Hecarim. Not so with Smite. Challenging Smite guarantees that Hecarim will outduel any backline squishy for the entire game, but it comes at a price. Winning lane is much harder without Ignite, and building Cinderhulk first means that the mid-game is weaker. It's a choice to be made based on whether your team is afraid of their late game or not. Look for more ponies on the Rift and pay special attention to their summoner choice, as it dictates a lot about how they will play the lane and when they'll be strong. Nidalee, Vi, Katarina, Fizz, and Lissandra are on the ban rate decreases list this week. I feel like I see them every week. Vi stands for an opportunity to discuss the viability of AD junglers in the Cinderhulk meta. Many who enjoy champions like Lee, Jarvan 4, or Vi have started simply replacing Warrior with Cinderhulk. Are these champions still a thing? Yeah, yes and no. Unfortunately for Vi, she's probably the worst of the lot with a Cinderhulk. Vi is notoriously dependent on her ultimate. It's not as if she can't gank pre-6, but don't expect too much. This means that she doesn't really stand out compared to a farm jungler like Sejuani, because Vi herself is a farm jungler. Vi does have a brief window between levels 6 and 9 though, where she is stronger than pretty much any other jungler in both duels and skirmishes. If you and your lanes can abuse that window, then great, but if not, you may find that Vi is the wrong champion. On a side note, don't pick Vi into Morgana or Janna. It usually doesn't end well. Vi is at her best when locking down an ADC without a big escape like Vayne or Kalista. She's also good at camping mid and snowballing assassins such as LeBlanc or Ahri. You definitely won't be seeing much of Vi, but if you do, take it seriously and don't let her make the plays. And that does it for this week's episode. Make sure you check back every Tuesday for the latest show. Like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share this video around to all of your pals. I'm Lindsay Geektron. You can find me on Twitch TV at Lindsay Geektron. Thanks guys so much for watching, and I'll see everybody next week.